Welcome to this explainer. Look, if just the thought of standing up in front of your classroom makes your palms sweat and your heart completely race, well, you are in exactly the right place. Today, I'm going to be your mentor, guiding you through what is essentially your very own digital workbook. We're going to break down exactly how teenagers, just like you, can build unshakable stage confidence. And by the end of our time together, you'll have a proven toolkit to take all that nervous energy and transform it into genuine power.
Okay, before we get to the actual strategies, I want you to do a quick check-in. On a scale from 1 to 10, how confident are you feeling about public speaking right this second? Just mentally circle your number and be totally honest with yourself. Are you a 1, like absolutely terrified to even raise your hand? Or maybe you're a 5, where you can get through a presentation but you secretly dread every single second of it. Just acknowledge where you are right now, because wherever you're starting from, it is perfectly okay. This isn't about being naturally gifted, it's about building a skill.
All right, let's dive right in. Here's our roadmap for today. First, we'll cover the biology of fear, then move into mastering your mind, grounding your body, nailing your preparation and delivery, and finally, using small reps to build massive confidence.
Starting with Section 1, the biology of fear. Remember, it's not you, it's bio. We really need to demystify exactly why stepping up to the front of the class feels like you're literally staring down a hungry predator. You might have actually heard the term glossophobia before. It's the technical term for the fear of public speaking. But for teenagers, this goes so much deeper than just worrying you'll forget your words. Neuroscience tells us that the teenage brain is biologically amplified to care intensely about peer perception and social standing. So when you stand up to speak, your brain fires off warning signals because it perceives social evaluation as a literal threat to your survival. Seriously, this fear you're feeling, it is absolutely not a personal flaw. It's not a sign of weakness. It is quite literally just your nervous system doing its job to protect you.
And what's really interesting is that these biological responses, they are completely universal. Just mentally check off the ones you experience. Do you get a racing heartbeat, sweaty palms, a totally dry mouth, or maybe that terrifying moment when your mind just goes completely 100% blank? When you recognize that these are just normal biological signals, the shame attached to the fear really begins to dissolve. You aren't failing. Your body is simply flooded with adrenaline.
Moving on to Section 2, Mastering the Mind. Let's turn those nerves into fuel.
Okay, once we dissolve that shame, we have to actively reframe our thoughts. This brings us to a super cool concept studied heavily in performance psychology called anxiety reappraisal. Think about it. Physiologically, a racing heart and an adrenaline rush from fear feel exactly the same in your body as they do when you're incredibly excited. The difference isn't in your body at all. It's entirely in the story you are telling your mind. If you tell yourself, I'm about to fail, you'll freeze. But if you shift that narrative to, my body is preparing me to perform well, you channel that exact same energy into a dynamic delivery. You swap the fear for fuel. You know, it turns out that so much of our anxiety comes from excessive self-monitoring. We get completely trapped asking, how do I look? Do I sound stupid? Is everyone judging me right now? But the most effective speakers in the world actually train themselves to shift that spotlight outward. They ask, what does my audience need to hear from me right now? When you focus entirely on delivering value and helping the room understand your message, your personal performance anxiety drops instantly.
Of course, especially as teenagers, our minds absolutely love to spiral into worst-case scenarios, right? We've all been there. Everyone is going to laugh at me and my life will be ruined. When that catastrophic thinking starts kicking in, I want you to walk through these 3 mental workbook questions. First, ask yourself, is this thought actually true? Second, what is the realistic worst-case scenario and could I survive it? And third, what is the most likely outcome? Usually, the most likely outcome is just that you give a totally fine, completely normal presentation. Walking through this logic actively stops the spiral dead in its tracks.
All right, Section 3, Grounding the Body. Let's breathe your way to calm. Since your mind and body are so intimately connected, you can actually use physical techniques to command your nervous system to just chill out. Rapid, shallow breathing tells your brain you are in danger. Deep, slow breathing tells your brain you are safe. Let's look at the 4-count breath. I actually want you to try this with me right now. Ready? Inhale deeply for 4 seconds. Hold it for 4 seconds. Exhale slowly for 4 seconds and hold empty for 4 seconds. Doing this pattern for just 90 seconds right at your desk before you're called up activates your parasympathetic nervous system and tangibly lowers your heart rate.
You also want to do a physical reset before you even rise to speak. First, adopt a grounding posture. Standing expansive and tall with your shoulders back actually tricks your brain into feeling self-assured. It totally reduces feelings of vulnerability. Next, you need to shake out that trapped nervous energy. You can do this subtly at your desk. Clench your fists as tightly as you can for 5 seconds, then release them completely. Scrunch your shoulders all the way up to your ears, then let them just drop. This progressive muscle release literally stops your voice from shaking when you finally open your mouth.
Which brings us to Section 4, Preparation and Delivery. Because confidence is built, not born.
Listen, confidence on a stage doesn't come from some magical, innate talent. It comes from deep, strategic preparation. There are 3 main pillars of preparation for teen speakers. First, know the ideas. Do not just memorize a script. If you memorize word for word and forget a single sentence, the whole speech collapses. But if you just internalize the core concepts, you can easily recover and rephrase on the spot. Second, you absolutely must practice out loud at least 5 to 7 times. Silent mental rehearsal is simply not enough to build muscle memory. Finally, simulate the real environment. If you're presenting standing up, practice standing up. The more familiar the environment feels to your brain, the less threatening it becomes. Preparation sets you up, sure, but delivery brings it home. Let's briefly break down these 4 core actionable skills. First, if making eye contact is terrifying, just try looking slightly above everyone's heads, or pick 3 friendly faces to bounce between. For vocal variety, make sure you vary your pace so you don't sound like a robot. Then, there is purposeful pausing. Now, this is a true hallmark of genuine confidence. Don't rush out of nervousness. Sit comfortably in silence for just a second after a big point. Finally, use natural gestures to emphasize your ideas. It's a clever trick that naturally replaces nervous fidgeting.
Finally, Section 5, Small Reps, Big Confidence. It's all about gradual exposure. Look, you absolutely do not have to master all of this on a massive auditorium stage tomorrow. This is how we translate this toolkit into the real world. Think of it as the confidence ladder. You build confidence by accumulating evidence that you can survive small, everyday exposures. Day 1, just answer a single question out loud in class. That's it. Week 1, read a paragraph out loud to a sibling. Week 2, maybe record a quick 1-minute video on your phone. These small reps permanently desensitize your nervous system to the fear of being perceived. It builds durable, lasting confidence rather than just a fragile front. I really want you to keep this quote in mind as you climb that ladder. Mistakes are not catastrophes. A confident speaker simply smiles, takes a breath, and continues. You are going to stumble. You're going to say the wrong word, but reframing that failure and showing resilience through those stumbles is actually the single most valuable life skill you can develop. It is way more important than delivering a flawless speech. Now, if you want to seriously lean into this and take your communication skills to the absolute next level, here are 3 highly regarded resources you should definitely check out. Talk Like TED by Carmine Gallo is fantastic for learning how to structure really impactful ideas. Scott Berkin's Confessions of a Public Speaker gives a great, kind of humorous look at the trial and error of presenting. And Dale Carnegie's classic book, The Quick and Easy Way to Effective Speaking, is just brilliant for learning how to overcome nervousness authentically. So I want to leave you with one final thought. What will be your very first small rep this week? I challenge you to commit to just one brave moment. It doesn't have to be massive. Raise your hand in class, or just record a quick video on your phone. You have the tools now, you understand the biology, and you know exactly how to breathe through it. It is time to turn that fear into power, starting today.